Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I get to simplify the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. Now, I have a whole bunch of new students who are just starting with me on my social media for CA's course. So if you happen to be listening to this also, thank you and welcome. Now, when I'm starting that course, I like to reach out to each of the chiropractors and ask them, what is it that you're hoping to achieve? What have been your frustrations? What have been the challenges of recent? Now, one of the chiropractors reached out to me, a wonderful person, and mentioned that one of the big challenges that they have is that they've noticed over the recent years there has been an influx of chiropractors come into their town. And these chiropractors are flooding social media with those introductory special offers, the $40 offer instead of $180. And as a result of this, that she is noticing quite a significant decrease in the number of new patients. And so she's wanting to start and to learn and have her CA implement the trainings from the social media for CA's course. Now, I was thinking a lot about this, and I thought I'm going to have an episode here of exactly how I would deal with that if that was happening in my town. Now, this might not be happening in your town yet, but let's imagine that, in the year going forwards, there are likely to be lots of changes. Who knows where the world is going or what is happening, but maybe there might be a bunch of chiropractors moving there, or maybe there's other health practitioners that might come in, or maybe you want to move to a new town and work out how you can get the attention of the people that you want to see. So I want to take you step by step in terms of what I would do through this. Now, first and foremost, when this happens, there's a very interesting mindset that goes on because we start to think about what we don't have. We've got a decrease in flow of new patients coming to us. There's a great quote that says, when we're grateful for what you've got, you get more of what you don't have. So when we're grateful for the patients that we actually have an opportunity to look after, we get more patients. Now, I see this in all areas of my life. When I'm grateful for my health, I tend to get healthier. When I'm grateful for the love of my family, I experience more love. When I'm grateful for the money that I do have, then more money tends to flow to me. Now, this means what this would look like is that we need to double down on the people that we're already looking after and make sure that we give them, first of all, no reason to ever look elsewhere. Now, they're not likely to be looking for other spots, but this would be where I absolutely begin. Before I start thinking about how am I going to go and attract the attention of more new people, I want to make sure I'm doing a brilliant job of the people I'm already looking after. Now, the second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decide that I'm absolutely not going to try and compete with them on this same playing field. I'm not going to play the same game they're playing. This will be very much a theme that we'll run through in this entire episode here. What I'm going to do and what I want to do is show my community how I'm different, okay? If there are multiple practices out there already competing in this playing field, we need to do what's different. I spoke about this on a recent episode with Brad Glowacki, and that how he's always a master of doing something different and showing up with, as different. Now, this means what I would be starting to do. In fact, let me take a sidestep there. I want to remind you here, remember, not everybody is price driven. In particular, when it comes to healthcare, the sort of patients that most of us want to look after are not price driven. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we can charge exorbitant fees, but not everybody is looking for a deal when it comes to their healthcare. And the sort of patients that are looking for a deal are very often not the sort of patients that we want to be seeing. That's my experience anyway. So I want to be communicating with my community, my audience, about how I'm different. Different is very, very powerful. Now, how am I going to find out how I'm going to be different? What I want you to do is I want you to start to have some conversations with your patients. I want you to survey your patients. And there's 3 questions I want you to ask them. Now, these 3 questions we're going to be asking is going to be providing a lot of the ingredients for our marketing going forwards. All of our communication, both in-house and out-house, on our website, through the videos that we're creating, all those sort of things. The first question I want you to do is ask your patients, how would you describe to a friend what it is that we do here? Now, it's interesting, as chiropractors, when I hear you describe what you do, we talk about, freeing up innate intelligence, allowing the body to be self-healing, taking stress off the nervous system. We use all these things that make sense to us as chiropractors, but that's probably not the language that your patients are using when they're telling friends about you. What you want to do is find out what language are they using, and you want to use that same language in your videos, on your website, in all your communication you're sharing. So the first question is, how would you describe what I do? to different people. The second question, what is the main benefit that you get from coming here? This is an interesting question. Now, this for some of you might be alarming and worrying. You might be thinking that you're delivering wellness care, life expansion, boosting people's energies, immune systems, digestive systems, and great, that'll be a lot of what comes back. But you want to find out what is the main benefit that you get from coming here is a question that you want to ask as many of your patients as possible. Listen into what language they use. And again, this is the same sort of content that we'd want to be sharing. If you find that people are coming into you because it's all posture, they love that their posture is better, or they like that they get less aches and pains, find out what words, what language they use, what phrase, what statements, and we want to be using those. The third question you want to ask them is what's different about our practice if you have been to other chiropractors beforehand, or even other health practitioners, what's different about what we do, okay? And again, we want to use their language. I was online yesterday and I was looking at a post that said we need to assume that when we're talking to people, they're not interested, they don't understand, and that they have the intelligence or the education of about a grade 3. Now, we often don't communicate with people like this because we like to tell ourselves that our patients are much more sophisticated. Maybe yours are, maybe they're not, but when all else fails, simplifying things is really helpful. So I'd spend the next couple of weeks asking all of my patients these questions. Now, the way I wouldn't be asking them, okay, because the answer that you get as a chiropractor might not be the most accurate one. They might tend to filter it to us. So I would have either two things. I would have my CA asking these questions out the front, or I would have a pen and paper there and I would have them written down and I would ask them to fill in. And again, I would make sure that the CA prompts them to do it, or at the end of my adjustment, I would say something like, hey, John, we're updating all of our communication, our website, our social media, and we want to better understand people like you, our favorite patients. I wonder if you could take 2 or 3 minutes after your adjustment today. There's a couple of questions that I'd love your thoughts and opinion on, just so we make sure that we're doing a better job with serving you. So I went through a similar process of encouraging my community influencer members to do this. And one of the chiropractors just put out all these forms just on these adjusting chairs throughout the office, and no one filled it in. So we need to really lead people. We need to ask them. We need to let them know why it's important for them, and patients will happily do this. If it is a CA that's going to be asking the question, or if you're asking them the question, you want to take particular note of what words they say. Now, they are giving you all the information that you need to show why you're different. Remember, this is how we're going to be competing in the market. Now, when you think about it too, imagine, for instance, that you are Chanel or Rolex or a luxury or a quality brand. Now, I got to tell you that Chanel, for instance, doesn't worry when Kmart and Target have their sales, their Black Friday sales, the Cyber Monday sales, all those things, because while they're both in the clothing game, they're very, very different products. The person that is going to buy Chanel clothes is not going to be tempted to head on over to Kmart just because they have a discount on. So we need to position and find out, what is it about you? Okay, why should we come and see you? And that's where we get all of that information, okay? The next thing I'm going to do once I've got all this information is I'm going to be obsessing about communicating with my community how I am different. Now, I would be doing that in many different ways. I'd be doing it certainly online in the content that I would be creating. Now, here's what's interesting. We're just taking a step back to what's different. Many of the things you'll be tempted to think, well, all chiropractors do that. Now, I've touched on this before, but I want to tell you the story about the twice filtered water and the beer advertising campaign. Back, I think in the 70s it was, I forget which beer company it was, they employed a new marketing agency to come and look through their entire factory. They're taking one of the head marketing execs through and they're explaining everything. Here's where this happens, here's where that happens. And they come to a section there and one of the beer people says, this is where we twice filter the water, so it's ultra pure before it goes into mixing around with the hops. And the ad executive says, tell me that again. He says, well, we twice filter the water. You need to do that. The water needs to be incredibly clean, or otherwise the beer doesn't have that crisp sort of flavor to it. He says, why don't you tell people that? He goes, well, all beer companies do that. They have to do that. Otherwise the beer ends up tasting terrible. He goes, yes, all beer companies do that, but not all beer companies are telling us about that. Their entire advertising campaign was built in around twice filtered, the crispest, cleanest tasting beer that there is. It was a bit kind of cooler than that, but you get the gist of what's going on. There are things that you are doing that all chiropractors do, or most chiropractors do, but we don't make an effort of it. Now, whether that be, making a big deal about a thorough personalized examination, course of care, re-exams, what is it that you do that's important? Again, we get this information from what our patients are telling us. And so the content that I'm going to be creating is going to be, I'm going to be sharing lots of the helpful content. So whether it is solving a problem, whether it's migraines or poor energy or, better posture, those type of things there too. But I'm going to perhaps in the call to action or way I introduce myself, perhaps one of the things that differentiates me in this community is the fact that I've been here for 25 years. And 25 years gives me experience. It brings with it authority. And maybe over that time, you've looked after thousands of patients. That's social proof. So I want to add little things like that in there, okay? Because this is something that a new graduate can't compete with if that's the case. Now, if I'm a new graduate, there'll be a different thing that I would double down on. But what is it that's different about you? Now, there's a book I read a number of years ago, which I think was called The Zigzag Principle or something like that. It went on to show that when somebody is heading in one direction in a business, we should probably be heading in another direction. When they are zigging, you should zagging. And so what I would be wanting to do, if I found that the people in my community were all really saturating social media, I would be wanting to focus on a different platform. Now, it might seem to you that I am the social media person, but I'm not. I have when I think about what is the strategy for marketing, the strategy for marketing that I share with you is the more people who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. That then rolls into you'll get everything that you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. Now, you can run that through joint ventures, through corporate talks, through spinal screenings, through dinners with a doctor, through social media, all those things. And so with my community, there was a whole bunch of chiropractors that were going very, very hard. Not that I would ignore social media, because I absolutely wouldn't, but I'd be making sure that I would be going online. So I'd be asking myself, how do I get in front of my type of person? Where are they and how can I find them? In many ways, I think about community groups and I think about corporate groups. And so are there sporting groups? Are there community interest groups that I could offer to do a talk for? Are there corporate groups? Now, corporate talks is something that can be wonderful. We did a number of them in my practice, certainly over the last 5 years. Here in Australia, and in fact, I know around the world, most companies have a requirement that they need to share a certain amount of information, certainly occupational health and safety. There is somebody in charge of this, often it's human resources or there is a safety person, and they really struggle to find somebody to come and deliver this information. And if you can find out who that person is, in many cases they will welcome you with open arms. Now, the best way to find that person is not by cold calling them, it's by talking to your patients and by saying, hey, listen, at your workplace, do you do health talks? Do you have occupational health and safety? And if they say yes, you would say, who is in charge of that? They'll let you know who. And you say, hey, listen, we're doing a bunch of community-based talks, part of our community outreach. We're seeing that there's a real increase in work-related kind of stress, neck, shoulder, back, wrist, that type of thing there too. We've got a great little class that we offer for community groups for free. Could you put me in contact with the person? Now, this is something that is so incredibly easy to do. I don't know why chiropractors aren't doing it. Cold calling somebody who you don't even know and then letting them know that you wanted to come into their workplace is not going to work often, okay? But going through your patient is something that will really, really help. I'd be looking at joint ventures. What other health practitioners, whether it be or offices, whether it be gymnasiums, naturopaths, Pilates studios, yoga studios, who could I have a joint venture with there that I could have a collaboration where we could both share our patients between the two? I could give them access to my patient list, they could give me access to theirs. So they're the things that I would absolutely be doing, okay? So let's summarize a little bit of the steps that I would be taking in this situation. Okay, step number one is this. I'd absolutely first and foremost be putting all of my energy into my existing patients, being grateful for them. Because remember, when we're grateful for what we've got, we get more of what we don't have. I'd be then wanting to not compete with these new practices with what they're doing. I'd want to zig when they are zagging. I'd want to find out exactly how is it that our practice is different. And the way I would be going about that is I'd be surveying my patients. I'd also be chatting with my staff about this. As chiropractors, we have a hard time doing this ourselves. It often feels like we're bragging about ourselves when we're doing this, okay? And so the questions I'd ask is, how do you describe to people what I do? I'd be asking them, what is the main benefit that you get from coming here? And what's different about our practice compared to other chiropractors you may have seen or other doctors? Now, if you don't find a lot of information from this, then maybe the thing that this is a great reminder for you that you need to get better. You need to get different. You need to really work on making sure that you are showing up as a place in your town that people want to come to, okay? I'm assuming that you're actually good at what you're doing and that you actually are helping your people there too. And then I'd be creating content still consistently, and rather than offering discount offers, I'd be being valuable. I'd be solving problems, and I'd be letting my community know how I am different. And then finally, what I'd be doing is I'd be looking for other areas in my community where I could be reaching these people offline, corporate groups, sporting groups, interest groups, school groups, those type of things. And I'd be offering my service. What I would be obsessing about more than anything is making sure that I could be the most valuable chiropractor in my town. You can bet that if these other chiropractors are showing up and just doing the discount offers, okay, they're going for the low-hanging fruit. They're not looking in the other areas. They're going for what's often easiest. And chances are they're getting the low-hanging fruit they're getting is not the quality patients that you want to be seeing anyway. All right, folks, that's enough from me. I hope this has been helpful for you. Can I ask a favor? If you haven't reviewed or given a star of the podcast, could you do that for me? It helps enormously. It helps me find and reach more people. And that then helps me attract in a high quality guest into the show so I can help you even more. All right. Thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives, and I look forward to seeing you next week back here again. Take care. See you soon, folks. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.